Before dawn in Cebu City, the air is soft and salt-tinged, and the sky is a pale promise that feels too big for the narrow alleys below. A girl named Mara wakes on a thin mat beside her mother and listens to the city breathe. The tin roof clicks as it cools, and somewhere a rooster argues with the dark. Mara sits up slowly so she does not wake her mother, whose hands are rough from work, and whose smile still finds room for hope. Mara washes her face from a bucket and watches her reflection ripple and blur until it looks like stars breaking apart. She hums a melody she has carried since she was small, a tune that feels like light moving through water, and when she sings it, the morning seems to lean closer. She pulls on a borrowed dress patched at the hem, and steps outside, where neighbors sweep and vendors set up carts, and the sea murmurs beyond the buildings like a secret she wants to keep. Money is counted carefully here, and dreams are counted not at all, yet they grow anyway, and Mara feels hers tugging at her chest like a tide. She spends her days helping where she can, folding laundry, selling snacks, carrying water, learning the weight of effort and the patience of waiting. At night, she climbs to the roof, where the stars are sharp and kind, and she sings to them because they listen without judging. She imagines a stage made of light and an audience that holds its breath, and a moment where fear loosens its grip. One evening, a neighbor shows her a cracked phone with a video playing. A foreign stage, judges in neat clothes, bright lights, a crowd roaring like the ocean. Ireland's Got Talent, the words say, and the call for auditions flickers beneath. Mara laughs, first because it sounds impossible, and then she stops because the stars above feel closer than ever. Her mother watches her quietly and says, "If your song wants to travel, let it go." They sell a few things and borrow a little and pack a small bag with clothes and courage and prayers folded tight. When Mara leaves Cebu City, the streets feel like they are singing goodbye. The journey is long and cold and full of waiting rooms where people stare at screens and time stretches thin. Mara holds her song like a lantern, walking through airports and buses and nights where sleep comes in pieces. She practices softly so as not to disturb strangers, and sometimes they listen and sometimes they do not, and she learns to keep singing anyway. When she reaches Ireland, the sky is gray and wide and the air tastes different, but the stars still exist somewhere above the clouds, and that is enough. At the audition hall, she stands among others who look polished and prepared, and she feels small and poor and honest. She tells herself that truth is a kind of wealth and steps forward when her number is called. The stage is colder than Cebu nights and brighter than any star she has known. The lights are a wall of white that erases the audience into a single breath. The judges sit in a line, faces careful and curious and human. One leans forward with interest, another folds arms like a shield, and the toughest looks as if they have seen too much to be surprised. Mara's hands shake and she presses them together and remembers her mother's voice telling her to breathe. She introduces herself, and her accent carries the ocean with it. The room murmurs and then grows quiet. The music begins, soft and shy, and Mara closes her eyes because the light is too much and because the song lives better in the dark. Her voice rises, fragile at first, then steadier, then glowing. It moves like a star finding its place in the sky, uncertain and then sure. She sings of wonder and longing and the ache of reaching for something just out of sight. Each note carries the nights on the roof, and the coins counted at dawn, and the courage stitched into her dress. The judges shift in their seats. A foot stops tapping. A hand covers a mouth. The toughest judge leans back and exhales. The audience holds its breath. When Mara reaches the chorus, her voice opens and the room fills with light and memory and something like mercy. A tear escapes and no one hides it. The last note hangs trembling and then falls into silence that feels sacred. For a heartbeat, nothing moves. Then the applause crashes like waves against a shore, and the sound lifts Mara where she stands. One judge rises first, clapping hard, eyes wet. Another follows, wiping tears openly and smiling like they have been waiting for this all day. The toughest judge stands last, and when they speak, their voice cracks, and they talk about hunger and courage and how stars do not ask permission to shine. They talk about truth and how it finds its way through the smallest cracks. The crowd chants Mara's name, and she opens her eyes, and the lights blur into constellations, and she laughs through tears because she cannot hold them back. She thinks of Cebu City rooftops, and her mother's tired smile, and the night sky that taught her to believe. The judges vote, and it is unanimous. And the word yes lands.